filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, coming at you live from Central Alberta. And speaking of Central Alberta, being the wonderful place that it is, I've got a very exciting announcement to make. Dr. Joel Wallach himself is coming to Central Alberta. I'm talking March 27th, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Fantasyland Hotel Gold Room. Now, if you've never been to West Edmonton Mall, I'm telling you, it's the biggest mall in the world. It has an actual Spanish galleon. We used to have submarines that went around that in the water. You could take submarine tours through a shopping mall. Huge skating rink in the middle of the mall. I'm telling you, it's just fantastic. So, you know, March 27th, 7 o'clock, Fantasyland Gold Room, Dr. Joel Wallach. Now, on the March 28th, Community Center, Community Hall Complex in Sherwood Park, Alberta, 7 o'clock. And last but not least of all, Camrose, Alberta, March 29th, Saturday, 2 o'clock p.m. And I am really excited about this. And you want to talk about serendipity or whatever you want to call it, things lining up and just going the way they do. I've never, ever been a big fan of Benny Hinn, okay? Never been a big fan of Benny Hinn. I'm not afraid to say that. Now, here's the deal. Benny Hinn had Dr. Joel Wallach on his show the other day. Now, I believe in God. I consider myself a Christian. I'm not the best guy in the world. You know, I'm not the worst, but I always considered Benny Hinn to be the typical money-grubbing, cotton candy hair, flamboyant, slightly crazy TV evangelist. But there's Benny Hinn with Dr. Joel Wallach on his show. Very interesting. Now, life takes you down these really strange paths. You know, it's just a few years ago, I was laying underneath a Kenworth, working away, and bada bing, bada boom, here it is a few years later, and I'm hosting the Fire Your MD Now radio show for Dr. Peter Glidden. And, you know, that's actually a small part of it. The biggest part of it is watching people around me get healthier, get more energy, lose weight, become more intelligent, and it is just a fantastic ride. The air is electric. This is the time. We're reaching a crescendo. We're reaching a pivotal point, a zeitgeist, if you will, where longevity is getting really big because, and this is what I believe, when the dark gets darker, the light gets brighter. I've never been happier to be a part of something in my life, and this is big. This is big, people. I'm running into people all over town in this sleepy little town of 16,000 people in the middle of Alberta, an hour out of Edmonton, that saw Dr. Joel Wallach on Benny Hinn. And these are people that don't watch Benny Hinn. I mean, I was listening to Dr. Glidden's show, and all of a sudden I'm hearing all these people calling in saying that that's where they saw him. And I had to do a double take. I was like, what, Benny Hinn, what's this? Because I didn't know it was happening. But, you know, that's how things go. The call-in line is 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Now, if you have a health challenge that you want to talk about, I'm going to lay it on the line. I am not Dr. Glidden, okay? I'm not Dr. Joel Wallach. What I am is a longevity distributor. Now, I have these conversations with people all the time, okay? I'll be talking with people in a restaurant. I'll be talking with people at, well, it doesn't matter where it is or how. I try to strike up the conversation. And I find that 9 times out of 10, just about anybody that you run into is going to have a health problem. It's just like that. You know, them or somebody they know. Now, I do not trust the CDC. I don't trust the CDC, and I don't trust the World Health Organization either, because they put out all these studies, and they want to talk about the rates of people that have diabetes. They want to talk about rates of cancer. They want to talk about all these things, but they never want to get down to actually solving the problem. And That's evidenced by the fact that Dr. Wallach figured out years ago how to get rid of type 2 diabetes, and nobody will talk about it. Your MD doesn't want to talk about it. They want to push you to buy more drugs. They want to push you on all these, frankly, ineffective and more damaging treatments than, if you were to just say, take some chromium and vanadium with your 90 essential minerals, vitamins, amino, and fatty acids, and let's see that blood sugar issue balance out real quick like. Like I said before, call-in number 866-582-9933. If you don't have access to a computer or somebody you know wants to hear the show, GCN's got you covered. They have a listen line. You can listen from your phone at 605-562-7729. That's 605-562-7729. Now, why do I not trust the CDC? Well, I gave one reason. I'm going to go to an article on FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com, and I'd like to read you a little bit. This is from the Natural Society. Since the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists at the Center for Disease Control aren't legally required to tell the truth about anything, why should they? Maybe this is just one of many reasons the public is unaware of many problems revolving around America's health system. And now I realize I'm coming at you live from Canada, but here's the deal. North American medicine is basically the same. A little bit of difference in how we go about billing and whatnot, but basically it's the same in the fact that it's ineffectual and a drain on the economy. The CDC is perhaps the most malicious in their information twisting. Consider this recent upheaval about flu vaccinations, according to Dr. Peter Doshi in a British Medical Journal article review. Now, this is Dr. Doshi talking. Perhaps the cleverest aspect of the influenza marketing strategy, think about that, marketing strategy, surrounds the claim that flu and influenza are the same. The distinction seems subtle and purely semantic, but general lack of awareness of the difference might be the primary reason few people realize that even the ideal influenza vaccine matched perfectly to circulating strains of wild influenza and capable of stopping all influenza viruses can only deal with a small part of the flu problem, because most flu appears to have nothing to do with influenza. Every year, hundreds of thousands of respiratory specimens are tested across the U.S. Of those tested, on average, 16% are found to be influenza positive. I've seen this myself. I'm talking like page 72, little tiny article in the back of the local paper telling you that your flu vaccine is ineffectual against this year's flu, but it might have been good for last year's. Now, I'm not one of these big anti-vaccine people. I'm not. I'm not against the science, okay? But I don't trust the people putting them out. I just don't. I don't believe that people are inherently good or bad. Some are one way and some are the other. When it comes to my life and my family's quality of life, I don't trust them. I had a little situation a few years back. My son came home with a permission slip. Sign this so we can vaccinate your son. I politely wrote, no, not applicable, that's not happening, because I don't know what's in it. Neither do they. So I sent it back to school with them. Well, guess what? Next day I get a call from the school. And they were quite upset. I understand you have concerns about the flu vaccination. I said, yeah, I'm not really concerned about it. What's in it? And they said, I don't know. You don't know. So you got a box of stuff in the mail and you want to inject it in my son. You don't even know what's in it. Okay, fair enough. No, not happening. It's a simple no, 2 letters, N-O. So, I go about my life figuring the matter is resolved, and I get another call, local health unit. Hey, we hear you, your son's teacher contacted us and said you have some concerns about the flu vaccine. And I said, well, I really want to know, how come you people don't know what's in it? And she said, well, it's good for you. It'll help with the flu. And I said, how do you know that? They couldn't tell me. They don't even know what's in it. There's all these cases of Guillain-Barré and narcolepsy and all these different things. I mean, I heard Dr. Wallach say that there's absolutely no link between infant vaccines and autism, and I can deal with that. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with a guy that's done over 25,000 autopsies and 1 million blood works because, well, there's just no point in arguing with an individual like that. But, you know, if I don't know what's in it, I'm not going to let my family have a part of it. It is that simple. Now, here's the other side of that, okay? I pulled up another article here from Metro Edmonton, and this is actually based on research out of Toronto. Listen to this headline. Study finds flu shot really did make people sicker. Okay? Toronto, strange vaccine-related phenomenon spotted at the start of the 2009 flu pandemic. Pandemic, hey, they love to throw that word around, hey, pandemic. May well have been real, a new study suggests. Canadian researchers noticed in the early weeks of the pandemic that people who got a flu shot for 2008-2009 winter seemed to be more likely to get infected with the pandemic virus than people who hadn't received a flu shot. 5 studies done in several provinces showed the same puzzling and unsettling results, but initially research outside of Canada did not. And the effect was dismissed as the Canadian problem. Okay, so you got a box of flu vaccines in the mail. You injected yourself. Everybody got sick. And what's going on? It's just Canada, right? Because we're so much different up here. News of the unexpected findings broke at a time when countries in North America and parts of Europe were getting ready to start vaccinating their population against the pandemic virus. Good timing. Some jurisdictions were also trying to figure out whether to offer the seasonal flu vaccine they had purchased, similar to the 2008-2009 shot, along with the pandemic vaccine in case the seasonal flu viruses continue to circulate. Quebec opted not to offer the seasonal vaccine because of the concerns raised by the studies. Many people in the flu research and public health communities found the whole event unhelpful, and many rejected the findings. So, you know, you got people getting sick. Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Call-in line is 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. Now, if you want to get involved with the best team of people that exist on the face of the planet, in my opinion, get involved with Longevity Now. You say to yourself, Mike Phillip, how do I do that? Well, it's easy. Pick up your phone, dial 1-800-705-6892. 1-800-705-6892. Well, what happens if you do that? What you're going to have is a member of teamglidden.ca there to help you out. What are we going to do? We're going to talk through any problem that you have, any health challenge, any questions about the 10 bad food list, and we're going to get you on track. And if there's a question that we can't answer, we won't BS you. What we'll do is we'll get in touch with somebody like Dr. Glidden or Dr. Wallach, and we will get the straight goods, and we will not stop. We'll keep hounding until we dial in what's going on with you. So from there, is it over? Nope, not over. You're going to get involved with us in events like bringing Dr. Joel Wallach to Alberta, and we're going to get together, and we're going to come up with marketing strategies and ways of building a business and getting people away from drugs and surgery for things that they don't even need. All right? I'm talking March 27th, 28th, and 29th in Central Alberta, Fantasyland Hotel in Edmonton, Community Center, County Hall Complex in Sherwood Park, and Camrose Regional Exhibition. Life-changing event. I mean, I went online and I watched Dr. Wallach's presentation just the other day here, and this is some powerful information, and it is definitely getting out to the masses. Do you know why? Because we got all this stupid information coming at us all the time. Does your partner have type 2 diabetes? You might too, says a Canadian study. This is off of Global News. This job is really easy. I mean, you just got to go and type health into any news service, and you'll come up with all kinds of stupid stuff. I mean, they're running in circles when the answer's been known for a long time. So apparently now type 2 diabetes is sexually transmitted, or, yeah. Anyways, Toronto, does your spouse have type 2 diabetes? If so, you could be at risk of developing the chronic disease, Montreal researchers are warning. Look at the health of your partner could be a telltale sign on how your own health is faring, at least when it comes to type 2 diabetes, McGill University scientists say. We found a 26% increase in the risk of developing type 2 diabetes if your spouse also has it. Senior author Dr. Kabaria Dasgupta said, it's a pretty significant finding, and Dasgupta believes it might help with diabetes detection and motivating couples to work together for better health. This may be a platform to assist clinicians to develop strategies to involve both partners. Changing health behavior is challenging, and if you have the collaboration of your partner, it's likely to be easier. Now, out of everything he said there, I agree with one thing, and that is having a partner that's with you when it comes to doubling down on your health. It really helps, and the reason I know this is because my wife and I both got involved with longevity at the same time, and it was very difficult using the 10 bad food list. Like going gluten-free was something kind of foreign to us, but she got involved and figured out how to make all our own pasta, our bread, our pizza crust. She makes pierogies, gluten-free, all of it. So I don't have a real big problem with it. And you know what the reward is? She gets more beautiful all the time, and I'm a machine. Let's go on with this article. There's about 3.1 million Canadians, living with diabetes, 90% of which have type 2. Well, that's good news, actually, because I got something that'll help that. According to the National Diabetes Association, the organization says that another 1 million people are living with undiagnosed diabetes. In type 2, your pancreas don't produce enough insulin, or your body doesn't properly use the insulin it makes. As a result, glucose builds up in your blood instead of being used for energy. Well, that goes along with Dr. Wallach's research. You need sugar, and you need to be able to use it to be the animal you're supposed to be. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Back after this. Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. And as I was talking about before, life is really interesting. We rely so much on technology, and the more we rely on it, when the plug gets pulled, we end up running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Interesting. I mean, if you never had a cell phone or a computer, think about how much time you would save upgrading things, rebooting, updating software. How much could you get done? How much time could you spend with your kids? Interesting thought. I'm going to go back to this article I was reading here. They're talking about all these studies, right? You got Canadians getting sick from the flu shot. Okay? Canadians getting sick from the flu shot. Okay? A group of Canadian researchers recreated the events in ferrets, the best animal model for predicting how influenza will act in humans. They worked with animals because it would have been unethical to subject people to the health risks the work entailed. Yeah, don't get me started on that. I mean, for real, they're really worried about you. They won't talk about the fact that Dr. Wallach figured out that chromium and vanadium would fix blood sugar issues, but they're too concerned about you for medical trials. Well, I would submit that we're in a big medical trial. You're a guinea pig, at best, in their eyes. The findings of the ferret study were presented Sunday at ICAAC, a major international infectious diseases conference taking place this year in San Francisco. ICAAC stands for the Inter Science Conference on Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy. Oh, there's a winner right there. Chemotherapy. Nice. Lead author Dr. Danuta Skowronski outlined the work at a webcast press conference. Skowronski, an influenza expert at the BC Centre for Disease Control in Vancouver, untrustworthy in my eyes, also led the first study that spotted the apparent interaction between 2008 flu shots and pandemic flu infection. She and her colleagues worked with 32 ferrets, giving half the 2008 seasonal flu shot and the remainder a placebo injection. The work was blinded, meaning the researchers didn't know which ferrets received which shot. Later, all the ferrets were infected with the pandemic H1N1 virus. There's that word again. Pandemic. Head for the hills, people. 9 people died of a flu, and it's a pandemic. Bring out your dead, right? The ferrets in the vaccine group became significantly sicker than the other animals, though all recovered. It's a pandemic for you, right? Get sick, but you recover. The findings that we show are consistent with the increased risk that we saw in the human studies, Skowarnowski said. She said, in the time since the pandemic, there it is again. Why do they keep saying that? Researchers in other countries have reported a similar interaction. Why isn't that something? So maybe it's not just us Canadians getting sick off of these vaccines. And like I said before, I'm not totally down on vaccine research, okay? I just don't trust the CDC. I don't trust the World Health Organization. Because I'll tell you what, if they'd have been on their game, I wouldn't have to suffer for a good majority portion of my life getting hauled into the hospital at 4 in the morning when I was just a kid with an asthma attack that could have been easily prevented through diet based on research from Dr. Joel Wallach. We're talking in the 70s here. I mean, I'm not taking it personal, but at the same time, come on. Why did I have to go through that? Why do you have to go through that? Why should you? Especially if you've listened to this show, especially if you've seen Dr. Wallach speak. You have no excuse. There is no excuse to get sick and die. None. Unless you like it. Now, every day, I see these studies coming out left, right, and center. You can't go a day without not seeing one of these, right? And they're just constantly trying to disprove actual clinical nutrition. Okay? Now, I'm not a doctor, but I know what works for me and a whole lot of people I've met. Mouse studies suggest antioxidant vitamins might spur cancer. Okay? Now, this is all about wording, people. Okay? This is all about wording. Okay? Antioxidant vitamins are widely assumed to be cancer fighters, even though researchers and smokers have found high doses may actually raise their risk of tumors. Now, a new study may help explain the paradox. Swedish scientists gave antioxidants to mice that had early-stage lung cancer, watched the tumors multiply and become aggressive enough that the animal died twice as fast as untreated mice. Okay, so these mice, they probably all smoked too, became twice as sick, twice as fast because of the antioxidants, all right? Because of the antioxidants, as if that was the only factor in play. What were the mice using? What were they using as antioxidants in the study? Okay, now hang on, they're going to give you the reason. The reason? The extra vitamins apparently blocked one of the body's key cancer-fighting mechanisms, the researchers reported Wednesday. That is so interesting. The scientists stressed that they can't make general health recommendations based on studies in mice. That'd be silly, right? But said their work backs up existing cautions about antioxidant use. Okay, so we can't say for sure, but this backs up what we've been saying all along, that we want you to use drugs, surgery, and chemotherapy. Pretty easy how it comes to that, right? You can walk around with an undiagnosed lung tumor for a long time, said study co-author Martin Burgo of University of Gothenburg. For somebody at high risk, such as a former smoker, taking extra antioxidants can speed up the growth of that tumor. Interesting. Now listen, I'm going to pan down a little bit in this article. Okay? Now, the researchers gave vitamin E in a range of supplement doses. We don't know what those doses are or what the delivery vector was, or an antioxidant drug named N-acetylcysteine. Yeah, it's Latin. I can't read it. To mice engineered to have lung cancer. Let me repeat that. Mice engineered to have lung cancer. Okay? You get that? So these weren't even regular mice. They were made in a petri dish, basically, to get cancer. And then they gave them an antioxidant drug. Okay, they didn't try triple treat chocolate. They didn't give them selenium. They didn't give them tangy tangerine. No, they gave them vitamin E and an antioxidant drug, engineered to have lung cancer. I'm not engineered to have lung cancer, are you? I wasn't built to fail. I don't believe in that. I think it's a bunch of crap. We were made to work. And speaking of which, you want to get involved with a team of people that will help you show you the way? TeamGlidden.ca, 1-800-705-6892. Get a pen, 1-800-705-6892. Now, if you call that number, you're going to find somebody that wants to walk you through a protocol developed by Dr. Joel Wallach himself, and you are going to be so glad that you did. Mike Phillip here filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, and you know what? I got to tell you, this has been a long, strange ride. I mean, let me tell you something. Dr. Glidden often talks about metaphysics, okay? The spiritual aspect of your life, without which you would not exist. I mean, let's face it, when this body dies, it's still here, but you're not. And the way that things go, I had a family that prayed for me. I had a grandmother that prayed for me, my mom and dad, and I was a really crazy, stupid kid. I did a lot of things that could have got me killed because, well, let's just face it, suffice to say, I should not be here, statistically speaking. But I remember one time specifically when I was a kid, my parents went to this church. It was out in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. There was a woman in the church that was known to be somewhat of a prophet. Okay? You want to believe in coincidence? Whatever. I don't care. Now, when I was a young kid, and I couldn't have cared less, I hated being at church, this woman came up to me and she told me that she had a dream that I was walking through a field of wheat and there was people springing up behind me and following me out of the wheat. Now, at the time, I thought, yeah, whatever, you're nuts, right? I don't care. I don't want to be here. Well, you know, this is, we're talking a lot of years later, and I have literally talked to thousands of people about getting out of the wheat. Isn't that interesting? Well, it is to me anyways. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God. I believe that the people that are doing the things that they're doing, messing with our medical system and our lives, they believe in God too. Just not the same one that I do. Those that hate me love death, my God said. I'm going to pull up another article here. This one's from Fox News. Popping Xanax is more harmful than you think. Well, they don't know how I think, right? So obviously. And this gets back into what I was talking about last week with the SSRIs, you know? So it's starting to get out in a trickle, right? And it's funny that Fox would even publish this because drug companies are, I would think, big on their list of sponsors, right? But anyhow, let's go ahead with this. Jenna woke up on the kitchen floor. Dimly, the California teacher remembered bending over the sink trying to swallow water. According to the clock, that had been more than an hour ago. She fumbled for her phone but couldn't think clearly enough to text for help. I felt these horrible jolts running through my head and body. I couldn't stop jerking, she recalled. Then I began seeing stuff that wasn't there, creepy, crawly things. I didn't know what was happening, but I worried I might be dying. That sound like fun? Let's read on. The previous morning, Jenna, then 33, had inexplicably woken up shaking. Okay, so you're seeing bugs, can't stop jerking, electrical jolts, woke up shaking. I'm usually pretty confident in outgoing, but I felt like I couldn't leave my apartment, she said. Somehow I made it to school. My boss noticed the shaking and was concerned. I told him I wasn't sure what it was, and I went home early. There, things got worse. Her twitching intensified, and she grew increasingly confused. Then she passed out. Once Jenna regained consciousness, she hauled herself back to the sofa. Over the next 2 days, she couldn't eat or drink, and her mind drifted in and out. Finally, Jenna's mother stopped by and found her daughter curled up in a fetal position on the floor, clutching her cell phone, twitching uncontrollably. This is an old story, and what I say about that, why I say that is because you're hearing this more and more and more. Frankly, I can't believe people take these anymore. Like, I'm scared of them. If I went to a doctor and they told me to take, I want you on Paxil or Zoloft, I'd be thinking it's time to fire my MD now. We're going to continue on with the story after this break. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Glidden back after this. Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. And I was talking about a story about popping Xanax before this, but we got a call, and this show is all about the people. So we're going to go to Jean in Maryland. Jean, how are you today?
Thank you. I have a question. I was introduced to a lady that had, the doctors had told her she had breast cancer, and she bought several of the products, the longevity products. But she just recently found out that she also has a basal cell carcinoma, and they're talking about doing some very extensive work on her nose. And I was wondering what products in the longevity line would help that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gene, I'm not Dr. Glidden or Wallach, but it seems to me, just off the top of my head, let me ask you this. What products is she using? Is she on selenium?
Yes, she's on selenium and Z-Radical and a Healthy Start Pack.
Okay. Now, if it were me, here's what I would do. I would boost the ORAC value with triple treat chocolate. That's what I would do, like 2 pieces a day.
Uh-huh.
And on top of that, I would add in the Cell Shield RTQ. RTQ stands for resveratrol, turmeric, and quercetin. Now, interestingly enough, resveratrol is found in red wine. Okay? It's been found to be a major cancer fighter. How long has your friend been using the products there, Gene?
This is her first month.
Okay.
She just started 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Has she noticed any differences so far?
I noticed she's got a little more energy. She's feeling better.
Well, more energy is a good sign, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. That's the first thing that we noticed with the products. And, we had this lady in Edmonton that she had lupus, right, which is a debilitating disease. It's a little bit different. I mean, it's oxidative damage, just to be sure. But, it took about 6 months, and she was free and clear. I mean, you've never seen a happier woman in your life.
Right.
And I don't know where the line is or what you can come back from, but I do know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and your body can bounce back from all kinds of things. And I would, if it were me personally, you might want to call back when Dr. Glidden's on.
Right.
I would up the ORAC value with the triple treat chocolate, Cell Shield RTQ, and possibly even more selenium. Now, Gene, you have the good sense to let this friend know about longevity. I want to hear a little bit about you, Gene. How did you get involved with longevity?
Well, I've been using the product for about 2 years, and I'm not completely healed, but I've come a long way. I felt like I was dying. I had so many things wrong with me, and I had just recently had cardioversion for atrial fibrillation, and then I learned from Dr. Wallach that that's not a heart problem, but it's actually a disc problem, and I have very severe disc problems. So I have not had atrial fibrillation once since I've been on the product. I have not had a urinary tract infection once, and I've just seen a lot of changes, and still working on the degenerative disc disease in my back, but I've seen tremendous changes, and I don't feel like I'm dying anymore.
You don't feel like you're dying anymore. Now, let's back up. You haven't had atrial defibrillation once since you started Youngevity?
No.
That is amazing.
Right, and I had been, taken to the hospital twice with that, and the last time I had the cardioversion, and where they kill you and then bring you back to life. So I'm really, really grateful, to the product. I could wish my healing would be even faster, but I can only buy what I can afford. So I'm staying with it, and I'm not giving up, and I'm trying to tell as many people as possible that it can help them too. I had heard Dr. Wallach say something about using silver on skin cancer. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, silver is great. You know what? Let's talk more about this. I'm going to hold you over. We got a hard break coming up, Gene. You going to hang around for the next segment?
Sure.
We'll come back to you, Gene. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Back after this.